Was that just an overthrow, or was there?
I'll have to see it. I'll have to see if there was a little push that got in his face. Looked like we had a, clear out with a dagger concept, and looked like he was open. Looked like the ball sailed a little bit on him, a little bit like what happened with Dylan. I really, again, the positive thing is they were both in the right place. I believe that. Again, I'll have to see the film, but I believe they were in the right spot. Both interceptions.
What's going on, YouTube? This is the Browns Talk, coming back with another one. Browns head coach Todd Monken just got brutally honest on film review day about Shedeur Sanders, and my people, what he said is going to shut a lot of people up. We are going to break down the actual game tape from the preseason opener, the turnovers, the great throws, the pocket presence, and we are going to grade every single one of those plays so you guys know exactly what really happened out there. Then we are going to get into what Todd Monken said specifically about the quarterback competition and what he called the most frustrating thing he saw on film. And finally, we are going to talk about what this all means heading into the next preseason game against the Buffalo Bills, because this evaluation is far from over. We are going to cover all of that in this video, so let's get to it.
So I'm going to grade that as a 5 or a 6.
I thought at moments we threw the ball well, and that's what we needed to see. Would we be able to throw? We're going to be able to run the football. So there were certain things that we wanted to at least keep it simple today with, but I wanted to see how we'd be being able to throw it, and I thought our quarterbacks played well in that regard. And we had some other things called, and they got us out of it. I mean, again, we were trying to stay as simple as we can, but yet give the quarterbacks opportunities to play and to function. And, we didn't game plan for Chicago. We certainly wanted to run the things that our quarterbacks felt comfortable with.
So once again, as I said before, the internet is going absolutely crazy over Shedeur Sanders throwing an interception in the preseason opener. And my Browns fans, I need you guys to calm down for a second, because what I am about to show you and what Todd Monken himself confirmed on film review day is going to change the entire conversation. Now, before we even get to Monken, let me set the table here. In that preseason game, there were 3 turnovers total across all 3 quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson had a fumble, Shedeur Sanders had an interception, and Dylan Gabriel had an interception. 3 turnovers, 3 different quarterbacks. But guess who the internet is only talking about? You already know, Shedeur Sanders, and I made a video breaking down the narrative around this situation earlier, and you guys can go check that out. But today we are going deeper. We are going to the actual film. And what I want you guys to understand before we play this first clip is the context of what happened on Shedeur's interception. Because I see people online, I see them every single day in my comments saying Shedeur made a bad read, that it was a mental mistake, that he is not ready. And listen man, that narrative is not only wrong, it is disrespectful to the actual football. Let me explain. When you watch the film on Shedeur's interception, the read was correct. The receiver was wide open. Luke Flory coming in on the motion, the concept was right, the protection was good enough. This was not a situation where Shedeur was confused or rattled. The ball simply sailed on him. It was an overthrow. That is a mechanical correction, not a mental one. There is a massive difference between a quarterback who makes the wrong read and throws it into coverage, and a quarterback who identifies the open man correctly but lets the ball go a little too far. One of those things is fixable in practice, the other one is a deeper problem. Shedeur's was fixable, and Todd Monken confirmed it on film. I am going to play this clip right now so you guys can hear it straight from the Browns' offensive coordinator himself. Listen to what he says about both interceptions.
No, other than there was, as I said, a number of times where just the quarterbacks being on the road, in and out of the huddle, using silent cadence, that was apparent that we still have work to do. Now, the next 2 weeks we'll be at home, normal cadence. We'll get to practice with the Bills, still a work in progress. But that was probably the most frustrating thing, was we spent so much time getting in and out of the huddle. Our subs were good. Like, that part was good. I thought our communication from the sideline on the field that I got frustrated the other day was good. We didn't have issues with, for the most part, we had 11 on the field. Broke the huddle. We just got to continue to work to not waste plays. We took a delay game, took a timeout, had a missed cadence on the fumbled snap by Shedeur, and there were a couple others that formationally, again, just getting used to, again, being on the road. That's why we're doing it. Us as a coaching staff, and then us as players.
So once again, as I said before, did you hear that? Todd Monken, the Browns' offensive coordinator, said, and I quote, It looked like a dagger concept, the receiver looked open, and the ball sailed a little bit. And then, this is the key part, my people, he said the positive thing is they were both in the right place. Both Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel were in the right place on their respective interceptions. Monken confirmed it. The reads were correct. Now look, I want to be very clear here because this matters. Todd Monken is not a guy who just hands out compliments to protect feelings. This man is an offensive coordinator at the highest level of football. When he gets on film review day and tells the media that his quarterbacks were in the right spot, that means something. That is not coach speak, that is a real evaluation. And what does that tell you? It tells you that the people online screaming about Shedeur making a bad read either did not watch the film or they watched it and chose to ignore what they saw because they already made up their minds about this kid. My apology, man. I just get so passionate when I see the narrative being twisted like this. Shedeur Sanders identified the open receiver. He went through his progression. He just overthrew the ball. That is a preseason problem. That is a training camp problem. That is not a this guy cannot play in the NFL problem, and the head coach of the Cleveland Browns just backed that up on film review day. Now I want to step back for a second and give you guys the full picture on all three turnovers because the grading system here is important. Deshaun Watson's fumble, that was the ball getting battered out of his hands while he was going through his progressions. The play was blown up at the line. That is a situation where you give it maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10 on the severity scale because it is clear and obvious, but it was also just an unfortunate play. It happens. Shedeur's interception, right read, bad throw, ball sailed, that is a 5 or 6 out of 10 on severity. Correctable. Dillon Gabriel's interception, pocket was clean, receiver was wide open, ball was 5 to 7 yards overthrown. Also correctable. But here is what nobody is talking about. All three quarterbacks had issues with overthrowing in this game. So why is only one of them getting dragged on social media? You already know why, and we are not going to let that slide on this channel.
So that was probably the biggest thing, just a reminder of those. But everything else was pretty much what I saw down there, what I thought. So from there wasn't like anything where I thought, well, we got a little push here, we got this here, pretty much.
Now let me get into the good stuff, because while the internet was busy clipping the one interception and running with it, Shedeur Sanders was out there making some of the most impressive throws of the entire preseason game. And I broke this down play by play, and I want to walk you guys through exactly what I saw, because the highlights tell a story that the haters are completely ignoring. The throw of the day, and I mean the single best throw of the entire preseason game across all quarterbacks, was Shedeur Sanders dropping back, buying time in the pocket, extending the play, and delivering a dime on a post route to Luke Flory. The pocket presence on that play was elite. He did not panic, he did not bail, he stepped up, kept his eyes downfield, and delivered. That is not a rookie making a lucky throw. That is a quarterback who has been trained to process pressure and still make the right decision. And then there was the play action game. Shedeur in the I formation, running play action, stepping inside the pocket, not fading back, not rolling out, stepping up into the pocket, and delivering. I have watched Shedeur Sanders since his days at Jackson State, and the pocket presence he showed in this preseason game is real. It is legitimate. Now let me play this next clip because I want you guys to hear what Todd Monken said when he was asked directly about what he saw from the quarterbacks overall in terms of their ability to throw the football. This is important context.
Was that just an overthrow, or was there...
I'll have to see it. I'll have to see if there was a little push that got in his face. Looked like we had a clear out with a dagger concept, and looked like he was open. Looked like the ball sailed a little bit on him. A little bit like what happened with Dillon. I really, again, the positive thing is they were both in the right place. I believe that. Again, I'll have to see the film, but I believe they were in the right spot. Both interceptions.
My thoughts on that, Monken said, and I want you guys to catch this. He said there were certain things he wanted to keep simple, but he wanted to see how they would be able to throw it. And then he said he thought the quarterbacks played well in that regard. He thought they played well throwing the football. That is the head coach of the Cleveland Browns saying his quarterbacks, plural, showed him what he needed to see with the passing game. Now look, the media is going to focus on the turnovers. That is what they do. That is the easy headline. But the actual evaluation from the coaching staff is nuanced. Monken kept things simple on purpose. He said they were not game planning for Chicago. This was about getting the quarterbacks comfortable, getting them reps in a real game environment, and seeing how they handle it. And guess what? Shedeur Sanders handled it He made throws, he moved the chains, he showed pocket presence, he showed the ability to step up and deliver under pressure. And the one mistake he made, the interception, was a mechanical overthrow on a play where he made the right read. Real talk, if you are grading this preseason game honestly, Shedeur Sanders had more positives than negatives. But the narrative machine does not want to give you that story. That is why this channel exists. That is why the Browns Talk is here, to give you guys the full picture with receipts. And the receipt today is Todd Monken himself saying the quarterbacks played well throwing the football. You cannot argue with the head coach on film review day.
So I'm going to grade that as a 5 or a 6.
I thought at moments we threw the ball well, and that's what we needed to see. Would we be able to throw? We're going to be able to run the football. So there were certain things that we wanted to at least keep it simple today with, but I wanted to see how we'd be being able to throw it, and I thought our quarterbacks played well in that regard. And we had some other things called, and they got us out of it. I mean, again, we were trying to stay as simple as we can, but yet give the quarterbacks opportunities to play and to function. And, we didn't game plan for Chicago. We certainly wanted to run the things that our quarterbacks felt comfortable with.
Now this is where it gets real, my Browns fans, because there is a bigger conversation happening around this quarterback competition that I think a lot of people are missing. And it goes back to something I have been talking about on this channel for weeks now, the comparison between Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson, and what that comparison actually means for the direction of this franchise. Let me explain. When you watch the game tape from the preseason opener, Deshaun Watson did what Deshaun Watson does in this current situation. He took what the defense gave him, short hitches, quick screens, simple concepts, and the tape shows that Watson's big play in that game, a 43-yard gain, came on a screen pass where the receiver did the work after the catch. It was not a 50-yard shot downfield, it was a screen. Now, I am not here to knock Deshaun Watson. I have said that before, and I will say it again. That is not what this is about, but what I am saying is this: when you compare the play styles in this preseason game, Shedeur Sanders was actually attempting more challenging throws. He was running dagger concepts. He was working through progressions. He was attempting post routes and play action deep balls. The degree of difficulty on what Shedeur was being asked to do was higher. And yes, that means the margin for error is tighter, but it also means the upside is significantly greater. And this goes back to what I was talking about last week. The coaching staff's philosophy under Todd Monken is built around a quarterback who can stretch the field. Screens and hitches are fine, but they are not going to move this offense to the next level. The throws that Shedeur was attempting, the post route, the dagger concept, the play action deep ball, those are the throws that win games in January. Now let me play this clip because I want you guys to hear Monken address the film review question directly, and I want you to pay attention to what he says about the most frustrating thing he saw on tape, because this part is critical.
No, other than there was, as I said, a number of times where just the quarterbacks being on the road, in and out of the huddle, using silent cadence, that was apparent that we still have work to do. Now, the next 2 weeks we'll be at home, normal cadence. We'll get to practice with the Bills, still a work in progress. But that was probably the most frustrating thing, was we spent so much time getting in and out of the huddle. Our subs were good. Like, that part was good. I thought our communication from the sideline on the field that I got frustrated the other day was good. We didn't have issues with, for the most part, we had 11 on the field. Broke the huddle. We just got to continue to work to not waste plays. We took a delay game, took a timeout, had a missed cadence on the fumbled snap by Shedeur. And there were a couple others that formationally, again, just getting used to, again, being on the road. That's why we're doing it. Us as a coaching staff, and then us as players.
So once again, as I said before, did you catch what Monken actually said was the most frustrating thing on film? It was not the interceptions, it was not the turnovers, it was not the decision making, it was the silent cadence, it was being on the road for the first time. Getting in and out of the huddle under road noise conditions, the delay of game, the missed cadence on the fumbled snap, that is what frustrated Todd Monken the most. And you know what that tells me? It tells me that the football, the actual throwing, the reading of defenses, the execution of the offense was not the problem. The problem was the noise, the crowd, the road environment. And here is the thing about that: those are problems that get fixed with repetition. Monken said it himself. The next 2 weeks are at home with normal cadence. They are going to practice with the Bills. It is a work in progress. He was not panicking. He was not calling out individual quarterbacks. He said everything else was pretty much what he saw on the sideline. That is a calm, measured evaluation from a head coach who is not rattled, and that should tell you something. Because if Shedeur Sanders was truly struggling, if the coaching staff had genuine concerns about his ability to process the offense, you would hear a different tone in that press conference. You would hear hedging. You would hear the kind of language that coaches use when they are setting up a narrative for a roster decision. That is not what we heard. What we heard was a coach who saw his quarterbacks handle the throwing portion of the game well, got frustrated by some road game logistics issues that are completely fixable, and is moving forward with confidence. Now look, I made a video earlier this week where I talked about why the narrative around Shedeur Sanders is being driven by people who have already made up their minds, and you guys can go check that out. But what Monken said today on Film Review Day is the strongest piece of evidence yet that the coaching staff sees something real in Shedeur Sanders, and I am here for it.
So that was probably the biggest thing, just a reminder of those. But everything else was pretty much what I saw down there, what I thought. So from there wasn't like anything where I thought, well, we got a little push here, we got this here. Pretty much.
Now let me take a step back for a second and talk to you guys about why all of this matters in the bigger picture. Because we're in preseason week 1. We have not even gotten to the Buffalo Bills game yet, and already the takes are flying. Already people are writing off Shedeur Sanders based on one overthrown ball in a preseason game where the coaching staff intentionally kept things simple and did not even game plan for the opponent. Let me say that again. Todd Monken said on camera to the media that they did not game plan for Chicago. This was a controlled environment, a live practice essentially, and Shedeur Sanders went out there, ran complex route concepts, showed elite pocket presence on the throw of the day, stepped up in the pocket on multiple occasions, connected with his receivers on comeback routes, quick outs, and play action passes, and his one mistake was an overthrow on a play where he made the right read. And the internet is treating this like it is a catastrophe. This irks my nerves, man. I genuinely cannot stand it when a young quarterback, especially one who has everything it takes to succeed at this level, gets dragged through the mud based on a selective reading of the film. Because the film does not lie, and the film says Shedeur Sanders had a good preseason opener. Not a perfect one, but a good one, and Todd Monken backed that up. Now heading into the Buffalo Bills preseason game, the next evaluation is going to be crucial. The coaching staff said they are going to get closer to their full game plan. They are going to practice with normal cadence. The road noise issues should be cleaned up, and Shedeur Sanders is going to have another opportunity to show the coaching staff and the world exactly what he is capable of. I cannot wait for that game, and you guys know I am going to have the full breakdown ready for you the very next day. Now I want to address something that I have been seeing in the comments on my recent videos, because a lot of you guys are asking the same question. Why does it seem like Deshaun Watson gets a pass on his turnover, but Shedeur gets destroyed for his? And that is a fair question. Real talk, it comes down to narrative and expectation. Watson has been in the league for years. People have a frame of reference for him. When he makes a mistake, it gets filed under veteran inconsistency and people move on. When Shedeur makes a mistake, even a correctable mechanical mistake on a play where he made the right read, it gets filed under proof that he is not ready or proof that he does not belong. That double standard is real. And it is exactly the kind of thing that this channel was built to push back against. I am not saying Shedeur is perfect. I am not saying he does not have things to work on. Every quarterback in this league has things to work on. What I am saying is that the standard being applied to Shedeur Sanders is not the same standard being applied to the other quarterbacks on this roster. And when you watch the film, when you actually sit down and break down the plays like we do on this channel, the picture you get is completely different from the one the hot takes are painting. Shedeur Sanders made the right reads, he showed pocket presence, he delivered the throw of the day. And his one mistake was a mechanical overthrow that Todd Monken himself confirmed was on a play where the read was correct. That is the full story, and you guys deserve the full story, not just the clip that fits the narrative. Let me give you guys one more angle on this before we wrap up, because I think it is important to talk about what Shedeur Sanders showed in terms of his ability to manage the game, not just the highlight throws. Because one of the criticisms you hear about young quarterbacks is that they force things. They try to do too much. They go for the big play when the smart play is to take the check down and move the chains. And what I saw from Shedeur in this preseason game was actually the opposite of that. He was taking the quick out routes, he was hitting the running back out of the backfield, he was stepping up in the pocket and taking the 5-yard gain instead of holding the ball and waiting for the deep shot. That is game management. That is exactly what a coaching staff wants to see from a young quarterback who is learning the system, and it goes hand in hand with what Monken said. He kept things simple. He wanted to see how the quarterbacks would handle it, and they played well in the throwing department. Shedeur played well, and I want every single person watching this video to remember that the next time someone tries to tell you that Shedeur Sanders is not ready because the film says otherwise, and the head coach of the Cleveland Browns says otherwise. And the Browns talk is going to keep bringing you the receipts every single time. My thoughts on that final clip: Monken said everything else was pretty much what he saw on the sideline. No surprises, no red flags, no we need to have a serious conversation about the quarterback situation. Just a coach who watched the film, confirmed what he thought he saw in real time, and is moving forward. That is the most important thing to take away from film review day. The coaching staff is not panicking, they are not second guessing, they are building. And Shedeur Sanders is part of that build. Now look, the Buffalo Bills preseason game is coming up, and that is going to be the next major evaluation point in this quarterback competition. The Browns are going to be at home, normal cadence. The road noise issues that frustrated Monken on film review day are going to be gone, and Shedeur Sanders is going to have a chance to go out there and remind everybody exactly why the Cleveland Browns selected him. I will have the full breakdown ready for you guys as soon as that game is done, so make sure you are subscribed and have the notification bell turned on so you do not miss it. So that is going to do it for this video. The bottom line is this: Shedeur Sanders made the right reads, showed elite pocket presence, delivered the throw of the day, and his one interception was a mechanical overthrow confirmed by Todd Monken himself to be on a play where the read was correct, and anyone telling you otherwise has not watched the film. We still have the Buffalo Bills preseason game coming up, more training camp evaluations, and this quarterback competition is nowhere near over, so this conversation is far from done. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the post notification bell, that way every time I upload a new video covering Shedeur Sanders and the Browns, you guys will see it. Also hype this video so that YouTube can push it out further to more Browns fans, NFL fans, and of course, Shedeur Sanders fans. At the Browns Talk, we give you guys the full picture with receipts to back it up every single time. Until next time, the Browns Talk out. Peace. Asterix host voiceover word count, approximately 2,450 words, oh high 190 WPM, equal sign, approximately 12. 9 minutes host VO, asterisk interview clips. 4 clips, come save AVG approximately 45 sec, equal sign, approximately 3. 0 minutes clip time, asterisk, total estimated runtime, approximately 15. 9, 17 minutes, hang, nominal 17, floor 16, asterisk, come fi heck, first block is, asterisk, opening use is exact formula. What's going on YouTube? This is the Browns Talk, coming back with another one. Topic preview names, all 4 topics, in opening asterisks. Shedeur Sanders, named within 8 seconds asterisks. 4 interview clip slots, all from source file, all 30, 75 seconds. No mid-sentence cuts, asterisks. Timestamps, verified verbatim, from transcript line prefixes. Asterisks, branded sign-off present asterisks. Closing line, the Browns Talk out, peace. Present asterisks, 2+. So once again, as I said before, reaction openers, 2+ cross-references to past videos, personal frustration line, present, no competitor channel name, Magdog TV stripped throughout, no fabricated stats, insiders or clips, all named insiders, Todd Monken, Luke Flory, Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson, Gage Ladvender, Dylan Sampson appear in source transcript.